today. If you haven't viewed the first post I made today that was titled Jews and Judaism, where I gave a kind of 10-minute or so introduction to this topic. And then I had two other videos on there that essentially cover about the same information, but they were just done in different styles. You had to pick one of those to view. If you haven't done that, if you haven't completed that yet, I'd highly recommend you go back and check that material out first. Now, this video is just a quick and explanation of the assignment, the research assignment that I'm given to you guys today. For this one, I have a Google Doc that is attached. As I had mentioned in my introduction, if I was going to pick one group, one religious or ethnic group that has been big time overachievers and definitely impacted the world in a greater way than what you would think based on their numbers, I think Jews fit the bill for that more than any other group that I can think of. So that's my way. I take that as I'm paying them a compliment. It's actually the amount of achievements and the influence that different Jews and Judaism as a whole has had on just the entire world is really kind of astounding, considering how few of them there actually are. And I think they're very much disproportionately represented in all kinds of mediums and walks of life. So for this assignment, we're going to look at some of the good and some of the bad. For the first part one, I want you to track down 3 Jews, and they could be from ancient history, they could be from a couple hundred years ago, or they could be more modern times, World War II era, or even still alive today. So you're going to pick 3 people that would be Jews that have had a positive impact on the world and that essentially are famous or well known. For that, I mean, the list is endless. I couldn't even tell you how many would be out there. Literally, very, very many. So the options are, you have a broad slate of people that you could go pursue and research. For each one of them, I'm looking for a name. Then I want you to tell me when and where they lived. And then I want you to give me a sum up, like a couple sentences telling me, why did you pick them? Why are they an influential person that impacted the world in a positive way? Okay, so you got a lot of different directions you can go there. If you're struggling to find any, I don't know how that would even be possible, but you can hit me up and I could throw you a few names out of very notable people that have a lot of information that you could easily research. So if you need help with that, hit me up. But I don't think, even if you just Googled influential Jews, you're going to get a big list of a lot of them that you could go on. And you actually, it might surprise you, but probably quite a few people on the list you've heard of before, because there's many notable Jews that you wouldn't even necessarily know they were a Jew until you started researching on this. The other thing, now, I think also there's a lot of different groups out there, different ethnic groups and religious groups that have been persecuted through world history. That is a shockingly common thing. It's part of the human experience that, for whatever reason, humans become tribal and then they view another group as their enemy, or they're competing for resources. And rotten things happen to other groups for a lot of reasons, and different groups or people become victimized by another group. I think if I had to pick one group that has been victimized more than any other group throughout world history, now there's quite a few different groups that would fit the bill and have had a rotten shake in a lot of ways. But I would put Jews as number one on that list too. Everybody knows about the Holocaust, and that is probably the number one glaring example of a group that got targeted and victimized and had a horrible atrocity happen to them. It's the only time a group of people, a religious kind of ethnic group, was targeted for extermination using modern day industrial technology. Of course, I'm talking about the Nazis and the Holocaust during World War II. Now, there's been other genocides, but nothing quite that looks quite like the Holocaust of World War II. Especially a horrific thing, and typically everybody, even young students coming into my U.S. history class, usually if there's one thing that we cover in U.S. history that they know a little bit about before they come to my class, I'd say the Holocaust is one of those few things. I want you to pick out three different examples of ways that Jews were targeted and persecuted throughout history. Now, I would ask you, obviously, I already went over the Holocaust, the World War II Holocaust. Try not to pick that one. That's the one everybody knows about. I get it. You know what that is, and you could sum that up without doing any research in a couple lines. But I want you to go pick out three other occasions, and it could be back in ancient history. It could be back in Roman times. It could be back when the Jews were in Egypt. Old Bible story for you there, or it could be something more modern. You could look at something from American history, because you go back 100 or so years ago, Jewish immigrants coming into America were treated really rottenly too. So that, again, is pretty broad, and that's looking at kind of the negative there. Pick me out three examples. Just don't use the Holocaust, but three other examples, and there are literally hundreds of good examples that would work for this, where Jews as a group were targeted and persecuted. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to give you on through to Sunday night at midnight to get this done. You'll have the rest of the class period today to work on it. I'm going to give all day Thursday for sure as work time, and then I'm not 100% sure what I got going on for Friday. Anyway, that's kind of what's going to consume the rest of this week, and that's what you should be focusing on. If you have any questions, if you get stuck, if you need any help at all, by all means, reach out to me, and I'll be happy to give you some assistance. Take care.